Alright, Cavs Hawks. I'm going to be honest, no offense to the Atlanta Hawks fans, all 19 of them, but this series is not that compelling. The matchups aren't that interesting. The questions I have heading into it, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I just don't. I don't know, but we're going to talk about it anyway. The matchups here, I have Andy Varejao and Josh Smith. There's no question Josh Smith is a better player, but they're different types of players. Josh Smith is all about the flashy dunks and the big alley-oops, and he jacks up a million threes, which is retarded because he's a terrible three-point shooter. He's all about the flash, getting attention, trying to get the stats, trying to get on the highlight reels. And Varejao is the opposite of that. What he does does not affect the stat sheet. He is the kind of guy who fights for the loose ball, gets offensive fouls, and does the nitty-gritty stuff. So these players are very opposite of each other. So Josh Smith is a player you can frustrate. If he starts missing his threes, which happens a lot, if he isn't getting some calls, he acts immature at times. We saw this a little bit in the Heat-Hawks series. So if Anderson Varejao can frustrate him by drawing some charges, by getting some putback points, or whatever he needs to do, he could really take Josh Smith out of his element. LeBron James, Joe Johnson. James is probably going to play defense on Joe Johnson because Joe Johnson is the best overall shooter on this team, and LeBron James usually takes the toughest defensive assignment. But is Joe Johnson going to defend LeBron James? I don't think so. In fact, who's going to defend LeBron James? That's going to be interesting because I don't know if you can put like Mario West on him because he was like their defensive specialist. I don't think Mario West can do it. But James will be playing defense against Johnson probably. Be interesting to see because Johnson kind of had a rough round one. We have Mo Williams and Bibby. These players are very similar. They knock down threes, they take a lot of jumpers, they take minor ball controlling duties. They are pretty solid players. They're not all-stars, but they are somewhat close. And they play the same way more or less, but who's going to do better here? Who's going to hit more of those open threes? Who's going to not turn it over? That's going to be somewhat important here. And then we have Zaza versus Ilgauskas. Kind of odd centers, but they do manage to fill up the stat sheet from time to time. I don't really like Ilgauskas because he refuses to jump. He thinks because he's 7'3" he doesn't have to jump. I just want to see him jump sometimes, and I'm not getting it from him. And Zaza's like a career backup type of guy who randomly has 20 rebound games. So I don't know here. I don't know if Zaza's going to start, actually. I think Zaza's been playing better than Horford this series, but I also think Horford's a better player, so we'll see. Thoughts on this series? What are the Hawks? Some games, they look like the kind of team that likes to bang it down low with Zaza and Josh Smith and just play like in the lane and get easy buckets and get putbacks. Other times they look like a shooting team with Joe Johnson shooting the lights out and Bibby hitting threes. Sometimes even Josh Smith hits his jumpers, although that doesn't happen nearly often enough for him. So I don't know what this team is. It's kind of weird. Even in round one against the Heat, every time they played, it felt like I saw a different Hawks team. Sometimes they played, slow, tough, grinded out games. Sometimes they just tried to shoot the lights out. And I don't know what they are. I don't know if they know what they are. So I want to figure that out. And that being said, how do the Cavs play this series? If the Hawks don't know who they are, the Cavs can't know. So how are the Cavs going to treat this? Are they going to start Ben Wallace? Do they continue with Varejao? Do they play LeBron James at power forward maybe? Do they overload on guards if they do that? Or do they play James at the 3 and use the usual lineup? I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's kind of weird because I still don't completely know what this Atlanta team's capable of. And where's Marvin Williams? Is he going to be healthy? Because he could get some time against LeBron because they're both small forwards. So if Marvin Williams is back, what's he going to be able to do in that pseudo matchup against LeBron? That could be interesting because, Marvin Williams was a very high draft pick a while ago. And where's Al Horford going to be? Because I don't I don't know. I really like Al Horford. He didn't do that much for me this year, but I like his talent, so maybe he'll come around. I don't know if he's going to be available this series or what. I like to see it from him. I don't know who my X factor is here. I'm almost inclined to say LeBron James just because he is this Cavs team so much. And I don't know. I guess it's got to be him, because if he explodes, forget about it. If he struggles, this could go longer than anticipated. I'm going to be a little bold here. I have the Cavs in 4. I think it's going to be a sweep, and I want it to be a sweep. I want to see this Cleveland team take it by the horns and just steamroll over this Hawks team if they play them. I don't know. It just feels like I wanted them to sweep Detroit. I felt like picking them to win in 5, or if they won in 5, that would be kind of like you need to sweep a team like Detroit. I also feel like you need to sweep a team like Atlanta. Okay, Cavs Heat. Let's go through this potential matchup real quick. The matchups here, a little more clear. You have James and Wade. What were you expecting? Now, we know James is going to play defense against Wade because these are the two best players in this series, and it's not even close. You could argue Dwayne Wade was the number 2 MVP this year, and James was number 1. So, James will probably defend Wade, at least on key possessions. Maybe they don't want to tire each other out defensively. I don't know if Wade's going to be playing defense on James because James is bigger than Wade, but Wade is considered to be a very good defender, so he needs to try and live up to that. And if he gets matched up against James in this series, and that could happen because look at the Miami small forwards. It's garbage. I don't know who's going to defend James in this series, but Wade might be called to do on it from time to time. So, I expect huge things from both these guys in this series, so let the games begin. We have Michael Beasley and Anderson Varejao. Beasley might start, he might not. Either way, Beasley's more of a traditional player. He's a very good shooter, very good scorer, a great offensive weapon. He's really starting to live up to the potential that he appeared to have when he got drafted. Varejao, again, not that kind of player. Scrappy, intense, gets the plays that nobody notices, finds little ways to swing the game. What's going to happen here? I think it's a good matchup. Ilgauskas versus O'Neal. Simply because I don't know what we're getting here. Again, I don't trust Ilgauskas that much. I think he's a good jump shooter, but he's not that good at anything else. Jermaine O'Neal could end up decaying on the court. He looks like a corpse out there sometimes, and I don't know if he's going to play. He might not start. He might not play at all. He might be injured. He might have had his job taken by Joel Anthony in Game 6 of the Heat series. I don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know what I'm getting here. Finally, Mo Williams and Mario Chalmers. Williams is the veteran here. Chalmers is still a rookie, a lesser player. They do similar things, though. Williams needs to find a way to frustrate Chalmers because he's the veteran here. That's on him. Is there anything more fun than James and Wade right now? These two guys going at it. Imagine I can see Wade down 2-0 in games 3 and 4. Drops a combined 100 points in those 2 games. 50 in the first, 50 in the second, or something like that. And then it's game 5, it's tied 2-2, pressure's on James, he goes out and throws up a triple-double. It's going to be fun, it's going to be crazy. I don't know what to expect, but it's going to be good. If Dwayne Wade takes on LeBron James defensively, what do the Heat do about Delonte West? Because you can't just throw a scrub on Delonte West because he's a good shooter. So it's the little things like that that I'm wondering. How are they going to defend all these shooters? There are a lot of shooters on this Cleveland team. And who's starting at power forward for the Heat? Is it Udonis Haslem or Michael Beasley? Beasley is a better scorer. I think Haslem is a higher percentage shooter, plays better defense, does the little things better. But who's going to start? We'll see. And do the Heat have enough big men to stop LeBron from driving at will? Because I'm telling you, their bigs, it's not trustworthy. I like Haslem. I'm growing to like Beasley, but they're not great players by any means yet. I don't know about Jermaine O'Neal, don't know about Joel Anthony. They need big guys out there to clog the lane for LeBron. I think the X factor here, I'm going to go Jermaine O'Neal. If he continues to decay on the court, then Miami has no chance. If he shows up, it changes things a little bit. My conclusion, I have the Cavs in 6. I think Miami wins 2 games at home, but then the Cavs take Game 5, Game 6, win the series. I think it's going to be good, though. I'm out.